Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to the explainer for facilitating your freedom years. Look, if you're joining us today, you're likely stepping into a brand new leadership role. And before we do anything else, I just want to acknowledge the absolute vital importance of what you're about to do. You are stepping up to shepherd others through a profoundly transitional season of life, helping them figure out how to live fully and really finish well. It's an absolutely beautiful calling. But hey, if you're feeling a little nervous about standing at the front of the room, you are in the exact right place. We're going to unpack exactly how you can succeed in this role with total confidence and grace. So, to make this totally manageable, we're going to break the process down into 4 highly achievable steps today. Number 1, the mindset shift. Number 2, the toolkit. 3, the blueprint. And 4, the sustenance. Basically, we'll move right from the deep heart of the matter down to the nuts and bolts of how you actually run a session. And just to ground us right off the bat, everything we're exploring today is drawn directly from that beautiful physical facilitator guide for your freedom years that you're preparing to use. So no pressure, you don't need to invent anything from scratch. The wisdom, the structure, the guidance, it's literally all right there in the source material. We're just going to lift the key takeaways right off the page together so you can really internalize them.
All right, starting with part 1, the mindset shift, identity before action. Listen, before we even touch on session timings or schedules, we absolutely must define who you are actually called to be. The guide is incredibly clear on this. Your primary identity here is an under-shepherd to a small flock. Your success is not measured by how much material you rush through, but by how loved the people in your group feel.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between what you might think you need to do and what you actually need to do. See, a teacher lectures, dispenses answers, and talks a lot. But a facilitator? A facilitator asks questions, listens deeply, and gently guides discussion. Your freedom years uses what's called a flipped classroom model. That completely removes the heavy pressure of teaching right off your shoulders. You aren't there to instruct. Your group has already read the material and watched the videos before they even show up. You're simply there to guide a conversation about what they've already reviewed.
Now, if you're still feeling anxious about being the one in charge, let this simple metric completely relieve that anxiety. The guide shares a standard from Bible Study Fellowship stating leaders should only speak about 15% of the time. Think about that. That means your group is discussing for 85% of the session. If you're running a standard 60-minute meeting, you are roughly speaking for just 9 minutes total. 9 minutes! You absolutely do not need a perfectly crafted sermon. You just need to create the space for others to talk.
To really cement this mindset shift, the guide offers this profound quote from Mark Goulston. People do not change because of what you say, but much more because of what you get them to say. Just let that sink in for a second. Try to transition your mindset from worrying about providing the right answers to just focusing on encouraging honest dialogue. Your greatest tool isn't your own wisdom, actually. It's your ability to get your group to speak theirs.
Which brings us right to part 2, the toolkit, core facilitation skills. So now that our mindset is firmly set on shepherding, let's look at the highly practical toolkit you need to lead well. Here are the essential competencies you'll be relying on. Let's rapidly walk through a couple of them. First up, active listening. This means listening fully for the emotion behind the words, without immediately jumping in to, fix things or offer unsolicited advice. Then there's asking good questions. And good questions are open-ended, meaning they invite deep reflection rather than just a simple yes or no. And of course, group awareness. This is really just noticing who is dominating the conversation and who's being quiet, so you can gently adjust the flow.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the metaphor the guide uses for time stewardship. It describes the facilitator as a conductor. Think about that beautiful imagery for a moment. You're like a symphony conductor, bringing in different instruments, guiding the overall pace, and giving everyone a fair chance to play. You're definitely not some stopwatch-clutching referee blowing a whistle on people. It's a role of gentle, rhythmic guidance. Moving right along, we hit part 3, the blueprint, the 5-part session. This is highly practical stuff, and I want to reassure you right now, you do not need to reinvent the wheel every single week. Every standard 60-minute meeting in this guide is built on a highly predictable, beautifully repeatable structure. So here is your 5-part safety net. Step 1 is your check-in and opening prayer. Step 2 is an optional 5 to 7 minute overview video just to recenter the group. Step 3 is group sharing from the reflection section. Step 4 is the application discussion. And finally, step 5 is your closing prayer. Briefly outlining this shows you that you really do have a reliable roadmap. And honestly, this consistency is brilliant because it helps participants settle in so much faster, since they always know exactly what to expect week to week. Let's look a bit closer at step 3 because this 12 to 20-minute window is the absolute heart of the session. You're going to ask what stood out to them in their personal study. And here's a vital piece of advice for the nervous facilitator. Do not panic during quiet moments. Look, we all know how 15 seconds of silence can feel like an absolute eternity when you're leading a room, right? But silence is not failure. It's the sound of people thinking. Deep spiritual reflection actually requires silence, so just let it breathe.
Then you move into step 4, the application discussion. The guide is very clear here. Do not try to rush through every single question in the book. It's just too much. Instead, before the session even starts, just pick 2 or 3 questions that will move your specific group from insight to actual action. And most importantly, make sure you end this segment by asking members for a specific, public, this-week commitment. Getting people to make this commitment publicly provides this incredibly powerful built-in accountability for the whole group.
So, the crucial point is you cannot pour from an empty cup. Which brings us to our final part, number 4, sustaining the shepherd, caring for yourself. Because longevity and joy in this ministry, they require strict attention to your own soul.
The guide outlines these 4 legs of a steady chair to keep you grounded. First, affirm your calling with people who know you well. Second, do not shepherd alone. You absolutely must find a substitute facilitator and gather a small prayer team so you never have to carry the burden in isolation. Third, steward your time as sacred, meaning budget time not just for the meeting itself, but for your preparation. And finally, guard your own soul.
I actually want to pause on that last point and just let the gravity of this statement from the guide sink in. You cannot lead others to wells you have not drunk from yourself. Wow. Your own personal walk with God, your rest, your prayer, your replenishment, none of that is an optional self-indulgence. It is the absolute wellspring of everything you'll be able to offer your group.
Which leaves us with a deeply personal question to close this explainer today. As you validate this beautiful calling to lead a Your Freedom Years group, how will you guard your own soul as you shepherd others? Prioritize your own spiritual health, trust the structure we've outlined today, and step into this exciting journey with confidence, because you are incredibly well equipped for what comes next.